All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Good morning. What's going on, peeps? We're getting lived up. We got to get mic'd up. What we really got to do is we got to get powered up. Too many phones, not enough chargers. How's it going out there, guys? Hope you guys are doing good this morning. Hope you're feeling good this morning. Getting our live streams going. All right, that looks good. So today is May 7th, 2020. And we are ready to rock and ready to roll. So if you guys are just joining, do I need a lint roller? I need a lint roller. These high def cameras, what's going on there? What's that all about? All right, so let's see what we got here. Bam. So if you guys are just joining, good morning, good morning. It's time for a little story time. Good morning, good morning. Today is May 7th, and I am your host, Sunny D, ready for some story time this morning. Hopefully you guys are doing good. You got your coffee, you got your tea, you got your whatever you need so you can be ready, so you can be live, so you can feel good about what's going down. So this is going to be now officially we're looking at, this is episode number 24. Episode number 24, pretty exciting. What that means simply is that 24 mornings we've sat down across from each other, by way of wherever you're at in the world. And we've had a little story time. So story time is where I've been coming to you guys and I've been sharing with you stories from YFYI, the book series, your first year in. Your first year in the beauty industry, your first year in salon ownership, your first year in ... fill in the blank. Whatever your first year is, I've been sharing with you stories from the book series YFYI. And so episode 23, which we did yesterday, was a pretty epic episode because yesterday when we did that episode, we were finishing the last chapter of your first year in salon ownership. So that's the one we were finishing yesterday. So what does that mean? That means that we've read over the last 24 episodes, we've read 2 books together, or I've read, you've listened to, or maybe you've read, I've tried to read, but we've read 2 books together, your first year in the beauty industry, how to not just survive but thrive in the business of beauty. And then we've also gone through the entire your first year in salon ownership, which were a lot of the battle stories and a lot of the growing pains that I shared with you guys as I was navigating my way into ownership. And I'm still navigating my way through ownership. Just because you become an owner doesn't mean you get to stay an owner. But now we're on episode number 24. So what that looks like is, what do you do now? I don't have a third book. So I started reaching out yesterday to some different people that had been commenting and, have been following along and been tuning in to try to get some a little bit of feedback and try to get some, what else do we want to explore? What other topics do we want to dig into? What other topics are we interested in taking a look at? And a lot of people were digging that whole, media company concept. And I've been talking a lot about that. I've been talking about that with hairstylists. I've been talking about that with future professionals. I've been talking about that with business owners. And of course, I've been talking about that with my own team for years now. And I'll give you a little backstory on that. So in 2000, I want to say 2013, 14, around there, I decided, and I shared some of this when I was going through your first year in salon ownership, when I was in the growth chapter. So chapter number 10, which was on growth and expansion. And there was those different ways to grow. There's growing your base with one location, putting more effort into that location, growing that location, building out the products, building out the services. Most businesses never achieve their maximum potential and their base, meaning, giving every opportunity that you have to every single guest. And one of the big things is, like, you have a guest that's coming to you, and you can look at other businesses. I take a look at some businesses I do business with a lot, like a Starbucks, for example. Yes, they sell coffee. That's what they're known for. That's what the premise of the company is, but that's not all they sell, and that's not all they want you to buy. So they are constantly thinking, how can we, grow share of customer, meaning how can I have you come into a Starbucks and not only purchase a coffee, cheers to that, but also purchase a coffee cake, or purchase a breakfast sandwich, or purchase what else do they have there? A bottle of water. Then you see they have candy, they have cookies, they have healthy boxes, protein boxes. So what Starbucks is doing is they're not only thinking about growing their coffee business, they're thinking about growing share of customer. And so that's one way, right? You have a business and you start growing your base. And then the second way that we were talking about was growing another base. So when you decide to open another location, you decide, that you want to repeat the same process. So with Starbucks, as the example, as the model that we're talking about right now, and they went from, one coffee, shop to another, to another, to another. So they're duplicating the same model. Well, when I was reading that chapter, I went back and I was talking about how you could go into a new concept. And that's something that I did. I want to say I was like around 2013, 14. I started this concept in my head, right? You start an idea, you get an idea, it goes from head, for me, it goes from head, mouth, paper, and then I try to bring it to life. So when I started going into that concept, it was going to be the whole premise. I'll give you the backstory on it, since this is story time. The whole premise was it was going to be an express salon. So the idea behind it was I was going to create a salon where it was 25, all the services, cake pops, dude, they kill me on the cake pops. All the services were $25 or less, and all of the services were designed to be 25 minutes or less. So it was an express salon. So that was the concept, boom, and I go in and I test that. And how I test it is I find a location, come up with the money, come up with the equipment. And it was in going back into financing and construction. And this is me eating my own, dog food and practicing what I preach. After I had done in 2012, our second location, built it up from the ground up. I mean, dirt floors, cement laid, wall design, everything, the whole deal. I was like, wow, that was amazing. And I never want to do that again. Because it was just, it was a headache. Nothing was on time. And it's just like, you learn, oh, you didn't think about this. And then it's like over budget. You got to make edits before you can go start building. And then you're working with the budget of what you have. And then if it's a new construction, then the owner of the building is chipping in. You're going through the negotiations. So it was a great experience. And I learned so much. That armed me to move forward into the world of just owning businesses, period. But I learned also never want to do that again. So when I got to this new concept, I was like, I found this little spot, driving around, head on a swivel, eyes open, found this spot for lease, used to be a salon, perfect, rehab scenario, perfect, not going to break the bank, perfect. I can paint. I mean, I can hang walls. I can do, you know, some stuff. So whatever I can do, I can do. And if I don't know how to do it, like I'm one of those people that I'll like figure it out. Like I get some of the shit that I'm doing, I got no business doing. Like, oh yeah, electric, yeah, I can figure it out. I'm like, my thing is always like, how hard can it be? So I'm that guy. So I'm figuring stuff out. But at the same time, I learned from that ground up salon when I built that, you know, by me in my team, I even had some of my team come in doing some painting. You know, we saved like $20,000, right? So then that $20,000 we could use and repurpose for other pieces. So those are things you learn along the way. I've never had, you know, a rich uncle, investors, loans, like huge, you know, backers. So it's always been scrappy, scrappy, scrappy. And that's how, you know, I've been building it from day one. So going now into this new concept, found this location, used to be a salon, meaning great, it's already got plumbing in place, already has electric in place, things that I can repurpose. They had mirrors all over the place. So there were things that I could use. I think that there was a front desk there. And you can see, if you want to see pictures, even though the salon is long gone in history, on our website, there's a, let me see if I can just pull it up, just as I'm talking to you guys. So if you want to check it out, I'll give you the location. So, I mean, you go to our website is thesalon1, the number 1.net. But there's lots of different things that are on there. But the thing that I'm talking about, particular thing that I am mentioning about right now, is where you can see different concepts, because these brands that we built, and that, you know, I started from our main flagship brand, which is the Salon 1.0, and then 1.0 Express and 1.0 Media Inc. We have our men's department. So these were all concepts that could turn into salons like that. They're kind of like turnkey concepts. So this 1.0 Express, the one that I'm starting now, this was 2014. Go in there, and I talked about this in the book, how it became like a $70-something thousand experiment, because that was probably all in. You know, then you also have rent, you know, I'm paying. So I had this spot for 2 years, and it ended up being 3 different businesses in those 2 years. It went from Express, which the concept was $25 or less, 25 minutes or less. So here's why it failed, you know, and that's one, right? So the idea with Express was, how are you going to do this? Okay, well, I'm going to use this location to bring in my new talent stylist, and that's where they're going to start. So lower price point, and the whole idea behind Express, you know, services. So we're only doing like lunchtime color, PM shines, demi-permanent colors at our color bar. That's all we were doing. So they had that quick processing time, quick application time, and you're not going to get into a whole lot of color corrections or issues with it. So not a bad idea. Haircuts, you know, colors, blow dries, everything, and treatments, everything $25 less. Now, here's where the problem came. The problem was that I wanted to come into this with new talent, being at a new talent salon. Now, for those of you that are seasoned stylists, or for those of you that are educators or whatever, here's one thing that I can tell you about new talent. They ain't doing shit in 25 minutes or less. I mean, barely eating lunch in 25 minutes or less, right? So in the beginning, when we first get started, there is no way in hell we're doing a haircut, a color. It's practice. You got to get the pace going. So there was a total disconnect. I was like, oh my God. So I'm like, all right. So I had some new people in there, and I'm like training them, and I'm thinking, you know, like there's only so many, like, we're, you know, hands-on, like technical things we can do. But then I'm starting to think, and the wheels got turning. And so this is kind of this is the leading into the media thing that people were asking about. So then the concept turned in to like a media experimentation training ground. And I'll give you some of the statistics. So what we started doing was we started looking at our company as a media company. And it wasn't just the 1.0 Express location, it was the entire company. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start testing these things, and we're going to use it on some of our social media, pages. So we started from scratch, right? So 1.0 Express was a brand new brand, and we were going to build it up. And we started getting some traction. We pulled the plug. We had to part ways with the stylists that were there. But in that experimentation bubble, what we started looking at was some of those companies that I was talking about. We started looking at the Red Bulls. We started looking at companies that, when you think of Red Bull, if I asked you what is Red Bull, you're going to say Red Bull is a energy drink company. And then I'm going to come back at you and say, are they really? Because Red Bull, if you go on their website, and if you're, if you have a computer, you have an app on the phone, if you're on your phone, wherever you're at, next time you get a chance, I want you to look up, just go to Red Bull. If you Google Red Bull, number one, start there. You Google Red Bull, what's going to come up? Redbull.com. And the tagline is Red Bull gives you wings, right? -redbull.com. Now, that's what it says, but then the description, and this is Google, right top page on Google. It says, find the latest news, events, live streams, videos, and photos from the world of Red Bull and beyond, including motorsports, bike, snow, surf, music, and more, right? And so initially thinking, and this is where the media company concept comes in play. So we started using examples. So the case study that I'm sharing with you guys was the Red Bull one. So you go to Red Bull, and then I took them, we did this. This is training, right? This is what we're doing, because we were trying to build a business, and then we were trying to build, and then we were thinking, instead of building a business, we were like, let's build a company that supports all businesses. And this is where the concept comes up. Now, when you go to redbull.com, you're going to see, everybody, you kind of know what their logo looks like, you know what their font looks like, but you're not going to see energy drinks. When you go to redbull.com, the first thing you're going to see, and I'm on there right now, the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see people snowboarding. You're going to see people mountain biking. You're going to see people on dirt bikes, on courses. You're going to see all this stuff going on except for sports drinks. And as you start to scroll through the website, and they only have 4 tabs at the top of their website. They've got TV, they've got events, they've got athletes, and then they have products. So I'm assuming if you go to products, then you can probably find their energy drinks. And I'm going to go on there and just check it out, confirm it for you. So that's where you can find their products. But that's the 4th tab. And how do you read? You read left or right. So their first tab is TV. Their second tab is events. Their third tab is athletes. And their 4th tab, the furthest one, as I'm looking at it, the furthest one to the right is products. What does that mean? Where's their headspace at? Where's their headspace at when it comes to their company? Are they a media company? Are they a TV company? Are they an event company? And I'm going to tell you, they're a media company. And they started though, right? They started as a energy drink company. And so you may be starting as a hairstylist, or you may be starting as a hair salon, or you may be starting as a lawyer, or you may be starting as a whatever, chiropractor. But if you start thinking multimedia, if you start thinking of different ways that you can connect and using them as a case study, then that's how you get into this mentality. So I was talking with our team at this experiment lab that we had going on in this little project. And we started looking at different areas and different kind of, I guess you could call them like silos of like our life. And we started looking at lifestyle. We started looking at health. We started looking at fitness. We started looking at travel. We started looking at beauty products, not only hair products, which makes sense, right? Because that's the first thing you go to as a hair salon or a hairstylist. But also we started looking at skincare. We started looking at makeup. And when we started taking these different siloed approaches, I was like, okay, now we're going to start creating content. We're going to find articles. We're going to do research, and we're going to find, images and articles and fun facts that we can share about these different categories. And so if you went to our Facebook page, which I'm not even sure if that page still exists. I mean, it probably does. I don't think I would, get rid of it or delete it. But most likely what I've done is I probably just inactivated it. But if you go to that page, and I'll have to find some samples and some clips that I can share with you. If you go to that page, what you're going to find is our content was more of like a lifestyle brand approach. So it wasn't, haircut pick after haircut pick after color pick after haircut pick, another color pick, a before pick, an after pick, another color pick, another haircut pick. Okay, so now here's the thing I want you to think about. Your brand, right, is you, right? You start there. And I pulled a few, books from my library. One I shared the other day because it was Cinco de Mayo. And this is the Patron way. So John Paul DeJoria, he's not just balling when it comes to Paul Mitchell. He didn't just start Paul Mitchell, and that's where the story ends. He started this company and sold this company way more money than Paul Mitchell, but sold it to Bacardi a few years back for billions. That's with a B, several billions of dollars. But the story of Patron Tequila, the brand that revolutionized an industry, and so this book right here, The Patron Way, is, and we'll be touching on this, I think, as we're kind of evolving StoryTime. I'm going to be going into my library. I love, books and reading and different, things. So I've got different books on different brands and different companies. I'm going to start going into some of these stories as we evolve. Since we finished, both YFY book 1 and book 2 live, but as we continue to go through StoryTime. So when you think about this is just one example, right, of building a brand, and then you start thinking about the messaging. So just like with the Red Bulls scenario that we're kind of using as that cornerstone, I was using our salon. We're 1.0 Express. Yes, we're hairstylists. Yes, we do hair cutting. Yes, we do hair color. But as we started to put our messaging out there, things that would bring people to our business, we wanted to cover lifestyle. We wanted to talk about travel. We wanted to talk about fitness, health, well-being. We wanted to talk about hair. We wanted to talk about makeup. We wanted to talk about food. So we came up with a schedule, and we started to curate this content on these different, areas of life that we thought that was interesting, and that we thought would be interesting to the consumers that we wanted to attract to our business. And that was the origins of the whole concept of media first, becoming a media company first, and then filling in that also does after. And so when you think about Red Bull, if they were to say that, they would be like, yes, Red Bull is a media company that also creates and sells or creates and distributes or creates and offers energy drinks. That's not where they started, though. But knowing that and knowing where you're at right now, what's stopping you from right now saying, okay, I'm going to be a media company that also does fades, if you're a barber, that also cuts hair, that also colors hair. If you're a salon that also provides, beauty services. And what would that look like? Now you got to kind of figure out, who the customer is, and then that you're trying to reach, and the kind of content you produce and want to create and distribute is going to be based on that. And so I started taking that concept and applying it to my businesses. I started taking that concept and applying it and teaching it to my team, to my stylist. I started taking that concept and applying it to my own brand, right? So if you think Sunny D is a brand, and started applying it to my own brand and thinking about my communication style change. Before that, before those thoughts, and I started to move in that direction. Like most of my, partners in the beauty industry, I would just post a picture. Here's a cool haircut that I did. Here's another cool haircut that I did. Here's a color that I did. Here's another hairstyle. Here's this. And so it was just like that one thing from that one channel. So if you think of it like a channel, right? If you want to think of it like a media company, you can think of it as a magazine. You can think of it as a newspaper. You can think of it as a channel. You, meaning you are a channel, you are a magazine, you are a newspaper, you are a website that is, maybe if it's lifestyle, maybe if it's, and it could be different things. It could be lifestyle driven, where you might cover like a variety of topics. Another one to look at to get an idea might be like a Condé Nast, might be like a refinery. What's it? Refinery 29. There's different brands out there that are traditionally like they're like, okay, we're a media company, but you can look at them as examples and you can find out. And I like the Red Bull one because when you hear the name Red Bull and you see the product, initially that's not where your head goes. Your head just is like on energy drinks, but they've transformed that and created a lifestyle driven brand where that's also what they do, but that's like their website. That's not the first pillar. Their first pillar right now is TV. So think about that. If I were to say right now, like, what is Red Bull? I might say, besides a media company, I might say like a TV station. I might say a TV station. I might say an events company. I could say any of those things, and I could say, an athletic company in a sense. They have a lot of different athletes. So that's an example of taking the approach. And so that's where it started. So some of the things to think about if you're really wanting to go down that route, a couple of hot takes. You got to define the customer or the consumer that you want to attract to your company. And I do this with my team, especially when we just start and we get people moving in the direction of, thinking brand, thinking social, thinking branding, thinking marketing, right? Branding and marketing is going to happen long before sales. So thinking about the consumer, thinking about the customer. Now, for example, right? You're like, all right, your age, start with your age, start with your interest. Because a lot of times you're going to market or be attracted to those things, and you're going to attract those things. So and then start thinking about habits. And with the tools that we have available now, between Instagram and Facebook, and the way that you can define an audience if you're doing marketing on there, and think about the information that you've given. Right? When you've liked a place, when you've checked in at a place, when you've liked a post, when you've mentioned a product, all of those things are going to develop around, who you are, and it's going to be your consumer profile. And those same things are going to be your guest or your client or your customer, whoever you're trying to reach, their consumer profile. So start thinking like that. Start thinking, okay, what is the person, what's their favorite restaurants? right? What kind of foods do they like to eat? Are they, they lift weights? Are they yoga? Are they more of a runner? Are they, outdoors? Are they indoors? Start thinking about, you know, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. Start thinking about, are they, what kind of shoes? Are they Nike? Start thinking like head to toe on products and brands and activities and events. Are they live music? Are they country? Are they hip hop? Start thinking about driving. Are they driving a truck, a car? Start thinking about makeup. Are they MAC? Start thinking, are they L'Oreal? Start thinking products. So as you start to develop this, you can create a profile. You can create a profile around these different things. So then once you have that profile, then you can start to think about in those areas, the messaging that you want to have around those traits, if you want to call them, they're your consumer traits, they're your traits. And then variety, right? Because people will like variety, like just like a channel. If you're taking that approach as a channel, you're not going to have the same show on over and over and over, because you're only going to be really reaching one person that wants to watch that over and over and over. There are those people, but your market, your base, your consumer makeup is going to be a lot smaller, versus if you start taking, an approach to where you now know what the consumer looks like, and then you create variety based on some of their interests. And so then you have to start doing the work of sourcing out some of those things. And it doesn't have to mean like you have to write an article on quinoa because your consumer loves quinoa. You can find an article on quinoa. You can find facts on that product. You can find facts on that service. You can find facts on that activity, and you can share and reshare, and you can create some content around that. But then having like a rotation. And so what we ended up doing was we said, okay, we're going to do, these are the topics. This is the timeline. So we set a goal, so we wanted to do 10 different posts, in a 24-hour period. So that comes down to like, almost like one, every other hour. And the topics would change. So we would go like fitness, we would go travel, we would go food, we would go like a movie, we could go music, we can go beauty, hair, we can go makeup, we can go skincare, we can go relationship, we can go maybe back to the top of the order. So you can come up right there. That was 10, 9, 10 different topics. And then those topics will rotate. And it's going to take some time. If you're an individual, if you're doing this just for yourself, if you're doing this just for your own brand, your own marketing, it's going to take some time. Like it's not like it ain't easy, but developing that cadence. I would start with number one, figure out the consumer, figure out the makeup of the consumer, their likes, their interests, their product faves, figuring out their lifestyle. Number two, figuring out a schedule of different things that you want to share, and figuring out how many categories. If you have 8 categories, and just break it down. If you have 8 categories and you post, one time in each category for a 24-hour period, that's 8 varieties, 8 different posts a day. And then you start doing research. And the website Google is going to be your best friend. You don't have to, again, and some of it can be original. Like if you like, writing, or you're going to do a writing, you're like a blog, you're going to do a podcasting, you're going to create short videos. You can totally create original content around these topics on your short videos. You can totally do that, but you don't have to. There's so much content out there already. But what you can do is you can give your hot take on this article I found on yoga. This article I found on, if you're in Tampa and all of a sudden in Tampa you've got, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and you create, some posts around the Bucks, and you start talking about like what's the news right now. What are your thoughts on Tom Brady coming to Tampa? What are your thoughts on Rob Gronkowski coming to Tampa? You can share those things, and that could be around the sports part. And if you want to do something live with it, you could do it just through an article. You could share the article that somebody else already did and just share your hot takes on it. So there's plenty of things. If you're thinking like local, you're thinking like what's around you. There's plenty of content already created. There's plenty of things that you can share. You don't have to necessarily recreate everything. And then if you want to write, on it, the copy under your post, you could write on it. So then you've got, some copy there. And then you go to the next topic. So if that was sports, then maybe you go to, outdoors. Maybe you are into kayaking, or the consumer profile that you design, they're into kayaking. So then you could share something on the kayaking side of things and share like, the top 5 places to kayak if you live in Florida, or the top 5 places, or the top, 5 different, you could review products too. Like say you wanted to review like these different kayaks and the price points, and which one, if you have one, or which one you like and you think is the most bang for your buck. So there's different things. So then you move from that to your next topic, hair. And then now you as the hairstylist, that's going to be the easy one. Hair you created, hair you want to create, a runway. There was a red carpet event last night. Did you see, so-and-so's hair? I love this gown. I loved her makeup. So you can then share something that hits home for you. Then that covers your beauty. If you break beauty into hair, skin, and makeup, you have 3 different potential posts there. And then you can move into the next one. We have one of our stylists is really into fitness. So she's sharing a lot of different fitness things and created another fitness page. I'm looking at that as that's cool, and as she develops that, but I'm almost looking at like, how do you blend those together? Because you've already built up, and I've done the same thing. I've started other pages to test stuff, and then I've also blended. So sometimes I'm cross promoting, sometimes it's all in one. But if you go on my page right now, without reading, my bio, or even maybe reading my bio, you may or may not know what business I'm in. Because you're going to see different things. You're going to see a variety of different things. So trying to have that kind of multimedia approach, you may or may not know, I'm a salon owner, I'm a hairstylist, I'm a writer, I'm a podcaster, I am a speaker. You may or may not know those things initially. So, that'll be just one more, another topic where you can touch on. And then going through that, you create your customer profile, number 1. You create your topics, number 2. You create your schedule, number 3. And then it's about posting, it's about sharing and starting to build that. Now, what happens is when people come, and they come to your channel, or they come to your store, or they come to your site, then they're starting to look and see like what kind of things they're consuming. And then you become a source, not just a source for like a hair inspo, not just a source for like a makeup inspo, but a source for, it could be a current event, could be a food tip, could be a travel tip, could be a fitness tip, could be a fashion tip, could be a hair tip for sure, makeup, could be a technology tip if you're into technology and you're sharing, doing a review on a product. So you have these different things that are going on. You become a source, you become a destination, you become a property, you become a media brand. And then you're like, yeah, this is 1.0 media. We have hair salons, we have books, we have podcasts, we have an education arm. We do all of these different things. So those are some of the foundational pieces. Hopefully that answers for some of you guys that were like asking, and after I shared some of that in the bonus material chapter, like how do I go about establishing, do I have to create another page? You don't necessarily need to create another page. You don't necessarily need to create another name. You know, you could work with what you have. I mean, you know, it's the Red Bull example, the Starbucks example. I mean, they have music, they've got products, food, they've got, you know, their coffee mugs, they've got candy, they've got sandwiches, they've got all these things. Oh yeah, and by the way, they also have coffee, right? And if you heard the name Starbucks and didn't know who they were, what they were, you wouldn't even associate the name with coffee. So you don't have to necessarily change the name. If you've already put equity and built into that name and started branding and promoting, you don't have to necessarily change that. You know, me as a company, Sunny D as a company that, you know, has, you know, salons, has education, has products, does have services, has books, has, you know, apparel. I don't have to change the name because I've built up equity in that. Now, if you want to test, like I said, test, you could try, you know, starting different pages. I mean, they're free. It's not like it's going to hurt you to start it, but then you might find that you kind of converge. Now, just like, so Google, right? Google started and then they started doing all these other things. They have all these other companies. They started buying companies. Then they put a blanket company called Alphabet over the top. So they've got Google, they've got Nest, they've got speakers, they've got software, they've got hardware, they've got all the like little projects they're trying and testing things out, and then they put the blanket company over top, Alphabet. But originally it was just Google. So there's always ways down the road if you're thinking, you know, a name or a rebrand or, you know, bringing your media properties together under one roof. You can always do that. That doesn't, I mean, that kind of stuff can come in time. But right now, the main thing I want you to, you know, to kind of be thinking about is, you know, with the approach as a individual or a business right now, would this approach and with this approach, do you broaden your potential reach? Think about that, because the people that you're talking to, that you're seeing in your business every single day, they're going to all these different places and they're interested in all these different things as well as what you have. So if you start to offer different things and to be, you know, and to be a tastemaker in a sense on these different subjects that you're interested in, that you know they're interested in, then you become more valuable as a source for everyone that you service. And so that's one of the side effects of taking this kind of media company first approach. So hopefully that sheds some light. Theory at a level, maybe a mid-level, high level, kind of gives you some more insight. We can get into more tactical stuff on a future episode for sure. But I know I did get a lot of comments and questions just about, you know, this whole idea of like, you know, how am I a media company? I thought I was a chiropractor. How am I a media company if I'm a lawyer? How could I be a media company if I'm a barber? How could I be a media company if I'm a hairstylist? How could I be a media company if I'm a teacher? How could I be a media company if I'm a hair salon owner? How could I be a media company if I'm a fill in the blank, whatever? Simple. Make the decision, start putting some of those things in place that we just talked about, and then you start to develop that, right? Red Bull didn't come out the gate like, hey, we got this energy drink, but by the way, we're a media company. We do events all over the world. We're sponsoring these athletes. We got a TV channel. We got this. No, they're just like, we're trying to make this drink. It gives people a little pick-me-up. You know, we're going to, you know, try to give it out for free, get a lot of people hooked on it, and then see what happens and develop it from there. But I don't think at their onset, like when they first were coming out of the gate, that they came out of the gate with all of these high-level things that they're doing now. I don't know. I don't know for sure because I don't know the founders. I don't know the entire story. I just know where it exists today. And I don't think that they started with the idea that we're going to become a huge media company and really have events and TV be the kind of pillars. And then we're also going to sell energy drinks. I don't think that was their initial thought. So just like you're probably not thinking that, but studying these brands, studying these successful brands, and thinking, what could we learn from them? And so we're going to be exploring on future episodes of Storytime. We'll explore some different brands. We'll explore some different branding and marketing techniques. We'll explore some different things that I picked up from the library along the way. And also, you'll kind of be seeing in real time. I'll be telling you things that I'm trying and doing with myself, with my brands, with my team, so on and so forth. So I want to thank you guys again for being here. We come together Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time for Storytime with Sunny D, where we explore lots of different topics, read some excerpts from the books, whether they be my books or someone else's books. We'll get into these topics. This was our first kind of episode outside of the YFY book series because we went through both of those books. We read those together over the last 24 episodes. So now this being the 24th episode in our transition as we're getting into tomorrow, as Friday, we're going to be episode 25. We'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. If you come back tomorrow, invite somebody, right? Bring a friend, bring a question, so if you're thinking about, if you have more questions on what we were covering today, the media, the concept, just some of the intricacies of what that looks like about the brand and developing, in directions, reach out to me. You can direct message me, whether you're watching on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, one of the Facebook pages, if you're listening to this on the podcast, reach out to me and we can continue the conversation post live stream. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for being here. 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'll be here doing story time. A couple other things I want to share with you. If you know, or if you are any kind of artist, music artist, you juggle, you dance, you sing, or you do hair, you're a barber, or any kind of artist, we are putting together a once a coronavirus, once a corona economy event, once in a lifetime event. We're putting together an online music festival. It's going to be on May 15th. We're starting 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. It's a one night only event. It's an online festival. We're bringing together hair artists. We're bringing together musicians, dancers, singers, any kind of art, any kind of artist. And it's called Corona Palooza. And if you ever heard of Lollapalooza, it's a big event they do every year. They do it in Chicago. It's like a 3-day festival of music, and there's performances like around the clock. We're doing our own version, Corona Palooza, May 15th at 6 p.m. It's going to be an online event unlike any other, and we're bringing together, it's an Artist Unite event. So we're bringing together all of these artists. So if you're an artist or any artists, have them go sign up for a time slot. They're going to be 15-minute sets. You can do anything you want in that 15 minutes, whatever your art is, but you can sign up. You just go to coronapaloozasignup.com. Go to coronapaloozasignup.com and sign up for a time slot. We're starting to book it up. And so it's, a week from tomorrow. And really the idea behind it is bringing our artists together to celebrate just art in general, but also celebrate that we're getting ready to go. Our economies are opening back up. Our businesses are opening back up. And as we get ready to go reunite with our fans, with our guests, with our friends, with our coworkers, we want to do this online, celebration to celebrate all kinds of art. So we'll have somebody doing a haircut, and then we'll have somebody singing a song. We'll have somebody playing an instrument. We'll have somebody doing doing a design, a barber doing a fade. We'll have somebody doing a braid or a long hairstyle. We'll have somebody, just dancing. We'll have, so all different types of artists. It's open to all artists. So anybody that if you're an artist, you want to get involved, you'll be seeing like the video. We have a little promo just announcing it. We'll have the sign up going on. You just go to coronapaloozasignup.com to sign up. It takes 10 seconds. Lock in a spot. We're going to try to accommodate. The spots are on a first come, first served basis. We'll try to accommodate everybody, at the spot that they desire. We'll do our best to do that. You'll just put a little description of what you want to perform. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my co-host, Josh, on Instagram at Josh Valdez, or me at SunnyD 1.0 with any questions. But the sign-up page and more information, it's at coronapaloozasignup.com. So it's May 15th, 6 p.m. We're excited. We can't wait. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be something that, didn't exist. And we were just thinking, like, how can we bring all of our artists together, do a big celebration as we get ready to go back out into the world. So, I just want to let you guys know about that. And other than that, you guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in for Storytime. Definitely invite your friends, tell your friends. We'll be back here 9 a.m. tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow morning, back for another Storytime with Sunny D. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are going to be joining us tomorrow, and definitely joining us for Corona Palooza. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon.